Well, folks, our long national nightmare has ended.
Yay!
The air conditioning is fixed. But, my lord, I think it took a year off of my life.
Really?
I think I would.
A whole year?
Yes.
Not just a few weeks?
I think at the end of my life, I will be able to look back and say, you know what? I could have had another good year if it hadn't been for that summer in 2023 when the air conditioning was broken for 3 weeks.
I don't know. It was a lot.
I don't have a question because I just want to talk about that for a little bit.
It was really a saga. I mean, we struggled.
Dude.
We struggled.
Dude, let me tell you something. Last year, around this same time, the air conditioning broke.
A little bit later than this.
And it was so bad, we had to go stay at a hotel.
Yeah.
We stayed at a hotel for what, like 5 days?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my God. And then we got a portable air conditioning unit. That's the word I was looking for the bedroom. So we were able to move back to the house, but the air conditioning was still not fixed.
Yeah, it was only cool in our bedroom.
Why?
What do you mean?
They fixed it, right?
No, remember all we had to do was replace the air filter.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Because summer rolls back around this year.
It was good for like
But was
8
it
months.
good? Because
yes, it was.
Here's what I'm thinking. It was August when it broke last year, right?
Yeah.
So yes, August, September, even October in Atlanta is still hot, right? Mm-hmm. But it was never like working well.
It didn't.
We were still hot. I was still hot.
I mean.
Okay. Well, fine. I was still hot. I'm hot now. It's 72 degrees in here.
I mean, it was set to the temperature that it was supposed to be.
Holy moly. Anyway, so that saga happens.
Yeah.
But then it goes to winter. This is what I'm saying. And we don't run the thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't run the heat even.
Right.
So we didn't know if it was fixed.
I guess you're right.
Here comes July. Actually, here comes May. And it breaks. And they come back out and they're like, we don't know.
They replaced a part, filled us up with Freon, and said, all right, that should be it. And
cool, great. Thank you very much.
If it has any more problems, there might be a leak somewhere.
And did it have more problems?
Yeah,
yes.
About 2 weeks later, it was problems again. It's like, okay, I guess we have a leak.
I feel like I'm at the point now where I feel like I'm hearing voices in the walls. I'm so paranoid about this thing.
Breaking.
If you, I checked the thermostat 10 times in an hour.
Probably, yeah.
It's insane. It has become pathological for me.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm so worried it's going to break again. I'm like paranoid. We'll be sitting at dinner and I'm like,
checking the thermostat is not going to keep it from breaking, I think is what we need to realize.
The issue is like, I want to know immediately when it's broken.
Away.
But that doesn't solve the problem either because best case, what are they going to come out at 8 p.m. the night that we find out that it's broken? Best case scenario, they're coming tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm driving myself insane.
Yeah.
Checking this thing.
Yeah. But they had to replace the entire furnace up in the attic.
All right. We got to tell this story. I can reflect now in comedy.
Okay.
But while it was happening,
you were really struggling.
I've been mad. I deal with anger. Anger is a big thing in my life. Mm-hmm. It's one of the big things I'm trying to work on, trying to get better at. Mm-hmm. But I'm a reactionary person.
I think most people are to an extent.
Yeah, but I'm flying off the handle at like the most
especially
minuscule,
when you're hot.
Dude. So 2 weeks go by. We've got 2 different repair companies coming in and out, fixing the problem, not fixing the problem. Okay, finally the determination is made. The whole thing needs to be replaced.
We're replacing the whole thing.
Which should have happened last year. But here we sit. We can't go back in the past. Anyway, we're coming. What day did they say they were going to come?
No, we talked on Friday. They couldn't come because it was already the afternoon and they wanted to try and get it all done in one day.
That's it.
So they came. They were going to come Saturday at 9:30 in the morning.
Yes. Forgot about this.
You forgot about this?
This is a saga.
Yeah.
Because so much garbage happened after that. So they say we're coming 9:30.
9:30, we'll be there. So I'm expecting them at 10:30.
Were you working that day or no?
I was working in the morning.
So I was the only one here, right? Yeah, so
I was working here.
Oh, yeah, you're working from home.
I was supposed to go work, and I canceled it.
Right, okay.
So that they could come. I was able to pick up some extra work from home hours that day, but they never showed up.
So I go to the gym, because I usually go to the gym Saturday early in the morning because I want to get some stuff done. Cool.
Before it gets busy.
Before it gets super busy. I go to the gym, checking my phone, expecting you to text me, hey, they're here.
Right.
etc. Because they,
You like to be updated.
yeah, I want to know what's going on in the house. Also, when I get home from the gym, I take all of my clothes off downstairs
So
and
it's
I
like,
walk
should I
upstairs
not be
completely naked. Yeah. So that's really what I'm worried about is, do I need to keep my clothes on because there's random people in the house? Anyway, I keep checking my phone. Nothing. And I'm getting to the point where it's like,
What's going
on? So I come home.
Nobody.
They're not here.
Crickets.
You had heard from them one time.
Yeah. No, I heard from them at 9:30. Hey, we're just waiting on one of the other technicians, so we're running a little late, but we're coming.
Oh my God.
And then I said, oh, thanks for the update. Appreciate it. I'll be here. 11:30 rolls around and I'm like, I haven't heard anything. So, hey, what's your ETA?
No response.
Nothing. No response. About 12 o'clock.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Okay.
All of this, what's going to transpire after this, could have been solved with one text message.
Like,
hey, sorry, it's going crazy over here. So you don't even have to give us the reason.
Yeah.
Just say the initial timeline is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
like, let's reschedule.
We need to reschedule.
Yeah. Fine.
I would have been upset, but what I'm trying to say is like, if the no communication has taken me to an 11 where I would have been at a 7.
Right.
Talk.
Right.
Text message. We're not calling you. Text us back.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Well, so I didn't get a text back. So about half an hour later, I called. No response.
Voicemail.
Voicemail's full.
Oh my God.
I can't leave a message. I'm like, oh my God. What's going on? 12:30. I call again.
Dude.
Don't pick up. No voicemail.
So at this point, I'm like, okay, they're not coming today.
Right.
I've resigned myself to, they're not coming today. Tomorrow's Sunday. They're definitely not coming then. Monday was the 3rd of July. So I'm like, if they don't come on Monday, we're screwed. Because God knows they're not coming on the 4th of July. The 5th of July, they're going to be hungover. All that. I'm running the scenarios. I'm thinking.
And you're a worst case scenario.
And it's never failed me one time.
Yes, it has.
No.
So I text our landlord, hey, they haven't showed up. I can't get a response. Just want to update you. And he's like, let me see if I can get in contact with them. He couldn't. But then at 2 o'clock, the doorbell rings.
Dude, literally, I'm sitting in front of the fan downstairs because that's the only place. It was 85 degrees in the house by that point.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the...
Because I had the AC turned off all day because they were supposed to come.
Because the first time they came out, it was frozen over and they couldn't do anything. So we turned it off the night before. I'm sitting in front of the fan and I hear it and I just go, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Out loud. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And
so I opened the door and I said, oh, didn't think you were coming.
Which I thought was a very normal response, but you were met with a lot of
defensiveness. Dude. Which is just so misplaced.
Listen, if you're going to show up
4 hours late, like with no communication, you should be on your knees apologizing.
You responding
honestly.
with, I didn't think you guys were coming is not any time for the person to get upset.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. Right. And so I asked him, like, we talked about you coming early, so it could be, hopefully finished in one day. Is that still even possible at this point? Again, more defensiveness.
But a normal question.
I don't know what I'm going to find, especially based on our conversation of we're going to come early
so that we can do it in one day.
Because we had talked it about 2 o'clock on Friday. Like, we can't come right now at 2 o'clock on Friday because we couldn't finish it all in one day. We don't want to leave you without anything overnight. Right. So we'll come early Saturday morning. Great. Well, they come late Saturday afternoon. So the logical question from me is, can you even do it today?
The answer was no.
I don't know what I'm going to find up there and blah, blah, blah. I don't like to be rushed, whatever. I'm like, well,
what a prophetic statement that was.
Go take a look and let me know what you think. They go up there. It's like, we could probably do it, but we'll be here till 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And I was
I'm
like,
downstairs
on a
and I heard that. I was like, get them out. Send them.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's not really, I'm sure you guys don't want that. I don't really want that. We have to wake up early tomorrow.
I hate people in my house to begin with.
Yeah. So to have them there past our usual winding down time would be a lot.
What are we talking about?
Right.
This is crazy.
And so...
So we reset it.
And they did eventually apologize for being late.
Oh, sure.
Which I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Something came up. Sorry. And it was like, life happens. What are we going to do from here? It's like, we'll fill you up with Freon because you're leaked completely out of Freon.
Oh, yeah.
To tide you over until Monday, and we will be here no later than 9 o'clock. I'm like,
I don't believe you.
Gonna have
first
to
and foremost.
You didn't say that. You weren't a part of this. You didn't believe them.
I did not believe them.
They said, I'm gonna trust you. I'm thankfully working from home on Monday.
Yeah.
So please, come as early as you can. We wake up at 6 o'clock, so there's no such thing as too early.
Right.
Come when you can. 9, the latest 9:30. Great. They showed up at 9:15. They didn't show up at 9:30. Okay. They showed up at 9:15.
I'll give them that. Monday rolls around. They get there on time. Fantastic. I'm going about my day. Everything's cool.
They're working really hard because our furnace is up in the attic.
Dude.
Which it's a really tight squeeze. I've got to acknowledge how hard of a job that is. We
got to give some grace here. Absolutely. It was not like easy in any way, shape, or form.
Well, in fact,
3 flights of stairs.
And I work on the 3rd floor, so I was right there while they were doing it. And oof.
The heat.
They had the attic open all day. Got up to about 90 degrees.
It was 90 degrees upstairs. So
I don't actually know how hot it was because the thermostat was disconnected. It was at least 90 degrees.
At least. I walked up there one time. I was like, heck no, I can't deal with this.
Yeah. And they took a couple breaks for lunch and water and stuff, but they worked until the power went out at 9:30 p.m. 12 hours later.
My wonderful wife is not setting this up well enough.
Okay.
They left at 2 to go get lunch, okay? They did not come back until 4:30.
It was not 4:30.
Listen, I have it clocked because at this point, I am pissed. I am so mad.
Yeah.
It's taking forever. It's so hot.
Yeah.
Listen, this is on me. Should I have been this upset? Probably not. I get upset when it's hot. Sue me. I don't care. So I'm clocking them. They didn't get back until 4:30. I promise you.
Okay.
And then it's just.
Well, and when they came back, it was, you see that tube right there?
Yeah.
We've got to connect that, fill your unit back up with Freon, and then that's it. I'm like, awesome. Great. They should be out of here by dinner time.
Right. No. They're working. We're eating dinner. I'm so upset at this point. So I'm like, I can't be involved. You told me not to get involved.
Yeah, I didn't want you involved.
Cool. So I'm trying to go to bed. I close my laptop from watching the show that I'm watching. I put it on the bedside table and I close my eyes. And within 5 seconds, the power goes out because we live in Iraq, I guess. We live
every time it rains.
Every time it rains, dude.
Every time.
I guess I'm just used to living in Florida. Like Florida, a Category 1 hurricane blows through and we're chilling.
Yeah, sometimes.
Meanwhile, Norcross, Georgia, there's a puff of wind and everybody's losing power. It drives me insane.
Right. And so they couldn't finish the last couple of things.
You could not write this script.
I know.
We were talking about this later. If this was written out on
you
a
wouldn't
script,
believe it. You would say it was too
so
cheesy.
Unbelievable.
It's like, that would never happen to anybody. I was downstairs and I was I had just finished my book. I had read the last 100 pages of my book waiting for these people to leave. And I'm like, well, I guess while I'm waiting, I can't go to sleep because they're here. I'm like, well, I guess I'll do a few rows of knitting.
Right.
So I pick up my knitting needles. I do 2 stitches. Lights go out.
Brutal.
And it's like, you really couldn't write this.
I literally put on my clothes and I walked past you in the hallway and I was like, I'm going to the car. And you were like, okay. And I went and sat in the car.
Because it was really hot. Even with the portable unit in the bedroom where you were, it was...
I mean, the minute the portable unit goes out, it's 5 degrees hotter.
Well, right, because the bedroom is right outside where the attic has been open all day. So
I'm in the car. I'm like, whatever.
So they can't finish it. They've been here 12 hours.
Send them home.
Yeah.
I felt bad
nothing
for them.
they can do.
Literally, I was like, you guys just go home. This is crazy. No sense in waiting around. This could last. Usually when the power goes out, it lasts about an hour.
It could be 20 minutes. It could be 2 hours. It could be all night.
Depends
we
on
just don't know.
The power people are ready to go.
And how bad the damage is, which there's no way to know that. So
they left.
They came and talked to me. They said, they're like, we're so sorry. We really tried to finish it today. There's nothing we can do. I'm like, I understand the power's out. What's a person going to do?
Right.
And they said, we've got about 30 minutes of work left to do in the attic. And then we just got to fill you up with Freon. And that's
30 minutes.
And the next day was actually July 4th.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like not a holiday for us. We're coming to work. We will be here in the morning. And I said, well, I'm not working from home tomorrow. Let me find out
what
Jonah's schedule is.
Which is never good.
So I call him in the car. He's going to be home at about 10:30, 11 from his training sessions. I'm like, all right, can you get here at 11? Yes, great. My husband will let you in. Do what you need to do. She's like, yep, 45 minutes in the attic.
So here's what happens on the 4th of July. I open the door. Hey, how's it going? They got 3 people now. So I'm thinking, they're going to really, 3 techs were out here. They're going to really move. This should,
30 minutes.
I'm thinking, she said 30 minutes. I'm thinking it's going to be an hour and a half because I'm always adding another hour to these fine folks. So I'm sitting there and I try to stay distracted, but I have such a hard time. Like, I don't know what this is, but when people are working in my house, I just can't go about my business normally. I just become this like, I don't know.
You're like uncomfortable.
I guess I'm uncomfortable. I don't even know how to describe it. But I'm just sitting here in front of the fan, like literally just scrolling on Instagram.
Yeah, like you won't even turn the TV on.
Right.
Which is so weird.
I don't know what it is or where it comes from, but I turn into a different person. Yeah. So about 2 hours go by and I'm like,
they're still up there.
Okay. Something's up. I'm thinking maybe something's wrong. So I go check.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong.
She's like, nope, we're good. We're just, working through it. I said, okay.
And you texted me before. You're like, it's been 2 hours. I don't know what's going on.
Right. So
what
then
do I do?
I went and checked.
And I said, just go see if they need some water and ask how it's going.
So another hour goes by after the initial check-in and I see her walk past. And I'm like, how's it going? And she's like, 20, 30 minutes tops. I'm like, well, you've never held true to your word before, but this time I'm going to take your word for it.
This time it's really only 30 minutes.
So I text Sarah, I'm like, 20 to 30 minutes. We should be good to go. She gets home.
I got home at about 2 o'clock.
So this was 2 hours after that. And they are still here.
Well, they were outside filling it up with Freon at that point. They were done in the attic.
Were they?
When I got home, because I didn't even come inside. I just went around.
Oh, yes, true. So they're topping it up with Freon. This is 3 hours after they told me 30 minutes, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they got here at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, they got here on time.
And it was 2 o'clock at this point.
So 30 minutes turned into 3 more hours. They didn't leave until like 3:30.
Yeah. It was a long couple of days. And I'll tell you what, they did work very hard. I couldn't do it. They had a very cramped space to work with.
This is the problem. I have no frame of reference to understand how long this process is going to take. Right?
It took a long time.
I do believe that this was on the longer side.
I think it probably was.
It was 18 total hours of work.
I just would love to know how late they were planning to stay on Monday. Like, had the power not gone out?
They would have been here till like 2 a.m.
I think they would have had to call it quits before then.
They would have had to have left.
Honestly, like, it sounds crazy, but in a way, I'm almost grateful that the power went out. Sure. Because, like you said, we usually go to bed. You go to bed at like 9. I usually go to bed by 10.
Right.
So, this all happened at like 9:30. So I was like getting tired. I was like, man, how am I going to stay awake? I'm going to have to start pacing around to stay awake while they're here.
Man.
And thankfully the power came back on. The power went out and we were absolutely devastated. Like, it's 90 degrees upstairs and the power's out and the portable AC unit isn't even going to be working. How are we going to sleep? Like, are we going to sleep in the car? What are we going to do?
Yeah, my plan was already just sleep in the car.
Thankfully, we just hung out in the car for about 30 minutes and the power came back on.
Because it was a tree branch that hit something. I mean, like...
Yeah, I know. It was crazy.
Am I wrong in that? Am I wrong to think that, like, in Florida, when I tell you thunderstorms... Like, chaos would blow through and we would not lose power.
Tampa doesn't have as much tree cut. Like, Tallahassee, we lost power a lot. Don't you remember? Because they have all the trees.
True.
It's about where the trees are. It's about because in Tampa, at least our neighborhoods don't have as much tree cover.
We could last through. Like, they would shut the power off. It wouldn't get knocked out. But when a hurricane was coming through, they'd be like, "We're turning it off just in case."
Yeah, Tico knows what they're doing. That's the Tampa Electric Company.
God bless those people.
Shout out to Tico.
I'll tell you what, Georgia, man.
Yeah, we lose power a lot.
I could go blow on the power line and I'd probably knock it out.
Like, I get alerts from the Ring app, and I mean, every third day somebody's lost power in our area.
It's crazy.
And everybody on there is really upset.
Yeah, I'm upset too. Yeah. It happens too frequently.
Yeah.
It really does.
Happens a lot. But I'm glad that happened and that so that they could go and we could go to sleep. And then I'm glad it came back on quickly so that the portable unit worked. We could, get a decent night's sleep. And
we've spent 20 minutes talking about this.
Oh my God. Well, I mean,
I want to say, I can already hear you clowns in the comments because you love to do this to me. oh, your poor air conditioning broke. Yes. Okay, there are people starving around the world. I understand. But just allow me once in my life to this is if you don't like the podcast, don't listen to it. But the podcast is about our lives, and this was a major thing that happened in our life for the past 3 weeks.
I think it's possible to be thankful that you have air conditioning,
right.
Really miss it when you don't have it,
right.
Realize it's not the end of the world, but it is a pretty massive inconvenience.
It is an inconvenience for sure.
And it disrupted our lives to a certain extent. It was an event. We talk about events in our lives. What are you going to do?
Mainly work from home.
Yes.
And you were able to, you handle it a lot better than I do. You're also 100 pounds. Not covered in hair.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You may also notice my beard is a little bit shorter than the last time.
Yeah, he had a bit of a mental breakdown.
I almost shaved my head. I was this close.
You couldn't lose the mullet, though.
I was this close.
My God.
I had just finished the beard, and I was looking at the clippers like, it's probably going to be a lot cooler if I shave my head, too. But I didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. I really liked it.
I like the way my hair is looking these days.
Monday was tough, though, because Monday I worked overtime. I worked for 11 hours on Monday in 90-degree heat.
Yeah, that was wild.
I really struggled on Monday. I almost lost my cool.
Yeah.
My metaphor. I had lost my physical cool.
Oh, yeah,
I almost lost
exist.
my metaphorical cool as well.
I just have learned that I can handle a lot of stuff if like the major things are taken care of. Like if I'm not super hungry and if I'm not super hot, I am a very flexible person. But if one or two or both of those things are gone, I just become like a demon.
Yeah.
It's bad,
I also get very hangry.
Oh yeah, when you're hungry, you
That's the one thing that I can't really.
Dude, you are bad when you're hungry. It's hilarious because normally you are very, very flexible, very much like whatever happens, we can deal with it. But if you're hungry, dude, it's over.
Yeah. Well, and I think the phenomenon of like where you're meanest to the people that you're closest to, it's like if we're with like a bunch of company and I get really hungry, I can hold it together. To a certain extent, I might be a little bit more quippy than usual.
This is the thing is like I can tell because I spend so much time with you. I can always tell.
But if it's just the two of us and I'm hangry,
I don't have that really problem. Bad. I'm mean to the people that I don't know because I just have no connection to you. So I will ream you out like this.
Yeah,
dude. There's a string of curses, just like in Christmas Story. There's a string of curses above this house at those air conditioning people, man, that if you got a transcript of that, it would be rated X. Let me tell you right now. Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah. But they're going to come back next week and replace our thermostat on the middle floor here.
Hopefully.
Because they are. I don't know when they're coming, but they're coming.
Could be at any time. Yeah. Could get a knock on the door.
Well, at this point, I don't expect any communication. And I told them I'm going to be home all day Monday and Tuesday. So show up sometime. I figure this is not an 18-hour job. It's rip it off the wall and put a new one on. So,
I don't know. It could take them 4 hours.
I'm expecting it to take 4 hours, and I'm going to be really happy when it only takes 3. That's how I'm feeling that's going to go. But the thermostat down here is older, so it doesn't
detect the temperature
little
very
trouble.
Well. It's been better.
Yeah.
I checked it today. It worked pretty well today.
Yeah. So they're going to fix that, and then we should be hopefully 100%.
So the other thing that I wanted to talk about before we talk about fitness, we'll get off the air conditioning thing. Thank you for letting us vent for a little bit. A good thing that happened, and just an absolutely crazy thing that happened to me. So I've been doing fitness content on YouTube and on Instagram really seriously for about a year. When I started my business, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Black Bear Barbell. I'm going to make a couple posts about that, but it's been an awesome year. But I at that same time, when I said I want to go all in on coaching, I also said I want to go all in on the fitness content creation. So I've been doing that pretty consistently for about a year. It's had its ups and downs. We've built a really solid following on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. It is what it is, right? That's how I was approaching it. Just posting stuff that, in my mind, if I like the video and if I think that the video could impact one person positively on their health and fitness journey, then it's solid. And I feel like that's what people say when they're not really making a lot of headway with like numbers. But at the end of the day, I think that's the more impactful way to look at it. Yeah.
And I think that really is your motivation. Like as nice as it would be to have like a 1,000 follower or like
for me
10,000 followers, like that would be great.
My goals are not 1 million subscribers. Right. My goals on these platforms are to get monetized on YouTube, which is the 1,000 subscriber, so that I can get some ad revenue. Because it would be awesome, yes, if that could be my full-time income. But I see that as like an extension of the coaching business.
Right. I think your passion really is teaching.
I love it.
Like developing new athletes
and I love
developing
building
existing.
community.
Yeah.
Like that. Those are my two things.
Right. It's not about the numbers. It's not about the money, although it would be nice to make some money off of it.
All that to say, I posted just like a throwaway meme.
Very funny one.
It's a meme of Jack Black when they're talking in School of Rock.
Because I'm sexy, man. And chubby.
When one of the girls doesn't want to go on stage because she's bigger than the other girls and she's feeling some negative whatever emotion around it, and he's like, dude, he talks about Aretha Franklin and
he's gassing her up.
Everybody wants to party with Aretha when she gets on stage because she's got a great voice. And I just posted that with the caption asking powerlifters why they aren't bodybuilders.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking, maybe, 1,000 people see it and laugh and it's funny.
Like, haha.
As of today, it
What
has
are we at?
400,000 views.
It got to 400.
400,000 views.
That's crazy.
I have gained 150 followers in
way.
a week from this reel.
And it has like 12,000 shares.
The thing that I love most about it is it's been remixed like 15 times. People have made their own reel
cool.
based on the sound. So all that to say, like, Instagram doesn't make any sense.
No.
Social media doesn't make any sense. I have learned that it is just consistently posting the stuff that you like or that makes you laugh.
And eventually something's going to get swept along with the algorithm.
Maybe something will get caught up or resonate with people. I think that this really resonates with people because that's always the meme is powerlifters are just bodybuilders without the diet control. Like that, we both love to train, but powerlifters like to eat. So it's like, okay, go for it.
Yeah.
And, it's a funny meme at the end of the day. Obviously, there are powerlifters that are very strict with their diet, but I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So all that to say, like, that
was a really great thing that happened.
It was a really great thing that happened, and I feel a little bit of sense of accomplishment. There's times with social media where you put a bunch of work into something and it doesn't get seen by anybody. And then there's times where this took me 4 minutes to make and it gets seen by 400,000 people. So just don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
If you are trying to get on the content route and trying to make stuff that you like, make stuff that you think is going to impact people positively, and find your people, man. Like find your group of people that are gonna, there's this book called 1,000 True Fans. And it's by Kevin Kelly. And I have not read it, but for some reason I've listened to 2 interviews with this guy. He's the guy that started Wired Magazine.
Okay.
Like he's done a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
He's part of the people that are trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. Like he's just in everything.
Why?
They're just trying to bring back the woolly mammoth just for fun. I don't know. No, I think there's an environmental reason.
Oh.
There's something about carbon that the woolly mammoth did that cooled the planet.
Not to get off topic, I'm just curious why the woolly mammoth and not like the dodo bird? Like why pick the largest extinct animal?
I think so. The way that they do it is they're taking existing Indian elephants and they are splicing woolly mammoth DNA.
They're making GMO elephants?
Basically, so you're not starting from zero. Like with a dodo, I guess there's
nothing
bird,
similar.
There's probably a bird close enough in the genetic tree that they could do this with, but the Indian elephant is like the direct descendant of the woolly mammoth, apparently. I don't know enough about it. Regardless,
I learned something new.
It's a book called 1,000 True Fans. And from what I've gathered, I'm going to read the book, and maybe I'll talk about the book later. But from what I've gathered, it's about just like building. We all think about these massive numbers. If you don't have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, you're nothing. If you don't have 1 million followers on Instagram, you're nothing. We have missed actually putting the one with a human being. So I look at 400,000 and I can't even quantify how many people that is, right?
Yeah.
So the book is about like 1,000 true fans, 1,000 human beings who are in it with you for the long haul.
And supporting you and
those
loving
are the
what
people
you do.
like, so, and I think that that's true. There's going to be on YouTube even, there's going to be people that are always commenting, always engaging with the posts, always being a part of the community. There's going to be people that just stop by for a video or two. Those are outside of the spectrum of the 1,000 true fans. So when you put it like that, I'm trying to make content for those people.
Yeah.
And you can even get more granular and just make content for one of those people because they are like-minded enough that if you make it for one person, it's going to resonate with 850 of those 1,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've been really trying to...
It's a neat concept.
Yeah. I want to read the book. Anyway, I think you listen to him talk, man. He's a very smart guy. He started a project to try and catalog all of the living species on Earth.
Oh my gosh. Even all the little bugs?
All of everything.
Does he count bacteria as living?
I don't know.
That's a lot of bacteria.
I don't think so. I think it is like, from what I've gathered, there's in the Amazon rainforest, there's like, we're finding new species all the time.
Oh yeah. Talk about the bottom of the ocean.
I don't think they're including the ocean because I think that would be too difficult.
So basically, land beings?
Basically, the initial idea was to contract indigenous tribes to just go out and just talk about what they
just
see.
Like make a list?
Right.
You'd have some very interesting conversations.
He's made so much, so he's trying to find things to do with his money.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like he's trying to choose things that are going to enrich the humankind, our general well-being on the planet.
I think so.
Or our knowledge at the very least.
I mean, the woolly mammoth thing is really interesting.
It is.
I've never really understood, there's a lot of talk about billionaires and them being evil scientists. And we had the big submarine fiasco and everybody's, memeing on that. It was 5 people did die. Yes. But,
it's a very sad thing, but what a crazy thing to do.
I mean, if you squint at it, it is insanely comedic, right? If you take out the loss of human life,
right? This
idea of like, I'm God, we can just go down to the Titanic in a ship that is not up to code in any way, shape, or form based on what we know. Like, so there's this idea of like, you just have so much money that you think you're invincible. And that's just not true.
It's not true.
I meditate on this fact all the time because I can get wrapped up in, just like anybody else, I can get wrapped up in numbers and money and how much easier life would be if we had so much money and all this. You can't take it with you, man. You're dust.
No, yeah, you can't
You are
take
dust.
it with you.
At the end of the day, like, it's gone.
Right.
And it can be gone in an instant,
Yeah,
absolutely. There could be a solar flare that knocks out all of the electronics on this earth and we would all be set back to zero. You know what I mean?
We'd all have nothing.
Meteor strike. There's so much stuff. So, and I became very obsessed with this like when I was graduating college because I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I didn't want to go to law school. I didn't want to be a professor. And I was like, I'm just going to be a freaking homeless person and like not have any purpose in life. But I was putting purpose in life with make a lot of money.
And that is
not true at all,
no.
Right? So success for me got completely flipped on its head.
Well, it's like that study that they did that like over a certain amount of money income per year, which is not as high as you would think, it doesn't affect your happiness.
The initial study was $75,000.
Yeah.
I think that was done a little bit disingenuously.
Oh,
and they
really?
also, because it's funny, we were having this conversation. Human physiology and human psychology is so varied that you cannot make sweeping claims like that.
Yeah.
You just can't. Because they did the same thing with a lot of lottery winners. The old wives' tales, like lottery winners are back to being as poor as they were 2 years. That is incorrect.
Oh, yeah.
That is not factual.
No.
And they talk to lottery winners.
Not all of them.
Right. And they talk to lottery winners. They're like, are you more happy than you were before you won? And the big thing was a lot of them say no. Well, a lot of them also say yes.
I'm sure some of them say no.
So I think it's too hard to quantify money, a certain number equals happiness. That's impossible. It's different for everybody.
Right.
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 But I do think it's the hierarchy of needs. Once you have that base level, which we are very fortunate in the first world, like even the poorest of the poor in this country are considered wealthy on a global scale. I mean, there are people enslaved in Africa right now that are working in a cobalt mine to make iPhones that the homeless person that you just crossed by on the Starbucks has. So put that in perspective, right?
Right.
All that to say, suffering in its own context is very important. So when you're in America, it becomes easier for these studies to be like, oh, $75,000. If you're above that, you're not going to get any more happy. I don't know. I think you probably are. But I also think like at a certain point,
everybody's a little bit different.
Numbers are going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But at the end of the day, you can't take it with you.
Yeah, dude.
And at the end of the day, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of suffering in the world. There's a lot of inequality.
Right.
And you hope that the people who are the most fortunate, the billionaires and all of that, are really trying to do their part, which a lot of them I think are not.
Exactly. So I think this is where a lot of the vitriol comes from.
Yeah. There are a few that really do try and do their best to be, I think good stewards of what they have.
Maybe.
But I don't know. A lot of them don't.
I think that obviously there have always been uber wealthy people.
Yeah.
The problem now is the accessibility that we have to them. We can see what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Rockefeller and freaking Vanderbilt were doing crazy stuff back in the day. The people just didn't know about it because there wasn't social media.
Right.
There wasn't a meme train when 5 billionaires got exploded in a submarine.
Right.
I guarantee you they were doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And just wasting tons and tons of money. During the Great Depression, that probably could have helped prop up the global economy. Yeah. But we didn't see it. We didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's not just uber wealthy, it's that we down here can see what they're doing and can comment on it.
Yeah.
Be like, what the heck are you guys doing? We're going to Mars? For what? People are dying.
Right. And I agree with that,
Right.
Like, we don't really need to go to Mars. We have enough going on here.
Let me take the devil's advocate view of that statement.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I do think this obsession with space is a little overblown from a billionaire's perspective. There's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of good work you could do here. Two things. It's really hard to give away money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It really is. Like, you don't think about it. We think, oh, they're billionaires. They could give away $900 million and still live comfortably for generations.
Right.
But how? It's very difficult to give that amount of money away. Second, with the space thing, there's the idea that, penicillin was made by accident. Microwaves were made by accident. So there's this, like, in the pursuit of just progress towards a specific goal, the enhancement of society that you get from that is worth it. Right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think we're a little overblown on the colonization of Mars type thing.
I just don't know why we would do that. We have a perfectly good planet here that we're all living on that we could improve.
We would do that because we're capable of doing it.
Just because we can.
That's space exploration. Yeah. That's why we went to the moon, for goodness sakes. Yeah. Like, it was the same thing. We didn't go to the moon because it was like, maybe there's gold in the moon.
I guess I just don't understand because I don't have a very adventurous spirit.
Right.
Like, you could not pay me
to be on one of the colonizing missions.
No.
Dude, did you see they put 5 people in a colonizing
pod?
Yeah, thing? To test it. They're going to be in there for 2 years. It's on Earth.
Yeah.
But it's what the Mars colony would look like. And there 5 people are in there. They locked them in there. They're going to be in there for 2 years.
And those 5 people have to live with each other for 2 years?
That's because they want to test.
What if they kill each other?
Dude, I don't know. I'm sure they have safeties in place.
What if they hate each other?
They have jobs to do.
Like what?
They're going to be like
mining,
like trying
red
to
clay?
build, like The Martian. They're going to try and make food. I don't know.
Oh God, you could not pay me.
5 people are in there.
But yeah, you couldn't pay me to go to space. You couldn't pay me to go to the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
And
I hate to say this.
Give me a VR headset and play me some Titanic footage.
I'm right there with you, but we would be nowhere as a society if we didn't have those absolutely crazy people that are wanting to do this thing.
There are people whose purpose is to go and to explore, and there are people who are meant to stay put and to cultivate like a community and a society. I think that to really generalize things, you're kind of one or the other, or you're more prone to one or the other.
I think so.
And I think you need both.
Absolutely.
And I am very firmly not an explorer.
Well, I have
no interest in exploring anything.
Just think about an ancient tribe. If you had an ancient tribe of 100 people and all of them were comfortable, for lack of a better word, or were secure in that little patch of land that they were living in, when that patch of land, when the soil dries up and it's been tilled too much,
they don't want to go anywhere.
Make any food, they will die.
Right.
So there has to be these groups that are going to continue to push the boundaries. Now the question becomes, do we push the boundaries off of this planet when there is need on this planet? I don't have the answer to that. No.
And I think 10 people are going to have 10 different opinions.
Of course.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's valuable to hear other people's opinions on a subject.
I do too.
I mean, you might learn something.
I do too. So I've been listening to rich people talk. Just like I've been, because
to get their perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like how they think and how, like Elon is insufferable.
Yeah, he's a real loon.
But you listen to him like before he became Twitter man, probably like 5-6 years ago when SpaceX was like just becoming the thing. And it was like the good that this will do for society as a trickle down effect will be worth it. Mm. It's the same. We have so many advances in technology because of the space program when they went to the moon. We don't even know about that. Like all of this stuff was built as like, oh, this might work doing this and that. So there is value in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also value in trying to build homeless shelters for people. There's also value in trying to set up renewable water and food, right? But who makes that decision?
Community programs that are going to help people. Right.
And if it's a billionaire's money, unfortunately, they're going to make the decision.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Man, this is the best fitness podcast ever. We never talk about fitness anymore. We're going to...
Are we going to talk about fitness?
Yeah.
Let's talk about fitness.
I just had one like small topic that I wanted to talk about. Okay. And I don't know if you'll have any thoughts about this, but I've been seeing there's a back and forth going on social media about like, and it swings all the time, evidence-based versus just like hard training, right?
Okay.
Early on in the muscle and fitness magazine days of bodybuilding specifically, there was this idea of just like, go in, crush yourself, eat a lot of food. That's all you need. We don't need any of this science stuff. Okay. And then everything kind of swung to one side where it was like, well, actually, you may want to do this exercise. It's a little bit more optimal for the rhomboids than this and that. So we swung all the way over here to the science evidence-based side of things. And now we're kind of swinging back to the chaos. It's so funny because you can see what I think is hilarious is if you go watch Jeff Nippard's YouTube channel, you can see it happening in real time with his peak views. And now he's kind of coming down into the valley because the gym culture right now is very much like, you just got to train hard, brother. Like, we don't need any of this science stuff. I don't know about that. So what I wanted to talk about was what it truly means to be evidence-based. Because I would describe myself as an evidence-based lifter and an evidence-based coach. Does that mean that I'm sitting in my cave reading studies that are done on 12 people and making all of my decisions about my training and my clients' training based on those outcomes? Absolutely not.
Well, yeah, that would not be evidence-based practice.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm healthcare worker. And so a big part of my training was talking about, reading research studies for new treatment programs and things, evaluating the quality of that evidence and applying it in, a good way to your eventual clinical practice. And evidence-based practice is not just about the evidence.
Right.
There's the diagram that they always talk about, at least in like medicine and that type of thing, is the triangle with equal importance placed on the evidence. Yep. That's just one part. Then there's also clinical expertise. So you as the expert, what have you experienced in your practice? What have you seen work for different people? What have you seen not work? What works in the setting where you're practicing? What are the limitations of your setting? Like, those things. That's your expertise. And then the third point of the triangle is personal preference of the client or the trainee or the patient or whatever.
Yeah.
And you have to balance all those three things. It's an equilateral triangle. There's not one that's bigger. There's not one that's more important. You have to know the evidence.
Yeah.
You have to be expert enough to apply it based on somebody's personal preference. You have to have all of those things, those three things working together synergistically.
Fantastic.
That's what it's all about.
That is exactly how you should approach things when we're talking about the gym.
Yeah. Well, because both of those poles that you were just talking about, both of those are wrong, to use a very strong word.
No, I agree with you. 100%. Both of those are wrong.
Because when you're
the extreme side of either side is wrong.
When you're chaos in the gym, just train hard, do something as long as it's really hard and you've absolutely crushed yourself. That's, I guess, all personal preference. You're just making it up.
Yeah.
When you're really hyper focused on the science,
you're not taking into account personal preference or expert opinion.
Right,
or
exactly.
lived in experience.
Right. And it's like if you're doing the based on the science, optimal thing for every single muscle,
Yeah.
you'll be in the gym for 12 hours a day
True.
every day.
Yeah, that's another good point.
that's so inefficient.
Right.
Right? Because you're not using your brain, your own expertise, or your own preferences to figure out how to apply the science in a realistic way.
Right.
So, both ways really have a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not a gym rat. I'm not a fitness person, but that's just kind of common sense.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think being an evidence-based coach, I'm going to hurt some coaches' feelings here. A lot of our clients will get where they want to be with or without us. Mm-hmm. I truly believe this. Mm-hmm. What we do as coaches is 90% of the time not going to be programming based. It is going to be motivation based, knowledge based, teaching based, understanding basic human emotion, right? This is the big problem, is a lot of these coaches are so focused on the science that they miss the person in front of them. If you're an optimal coach and you say, you got to go in, we're going to do a back session, and you've got to do a 45-degree lat pull down row with your elbows in this plane of motion, and you want to be all this jazz. And then you miss the fact that 2 weeks ago, the person in front of you told you, I go to a gym that doesn't have a lat pull down. You've missed it completely.
Yeah.
Because then what are they going to do when they look at that and say, oh, I don't have a lat pull down. I guess I can't do this exercise. I guess it's just not for me.
Yeah.
So you have to take in like personal preference. I think that's,
and also what their goals are. Maybe they don't care about their back.
9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10. The other thing too is like, we want to make this, and I'm putting myself in this category because I've fallen into this trap. We want to make coaching seem overly complicated, because the fear is if the client understands how to make changes, they don't need you. Not true. I pride myself on educating all of my clients to the best of my ability and their want. Some of them do not want to learn about this stuff at all.
And
they want
fine.
to come in and me point them in the right direction.
Yeah, they want to pay you to tell them what to do, and that's great.
Awesome.
That's what they want. Give them that.
But I am going to try and educate you to the point where you could do the job if you wanted to. But they stick with me because we've built personal relationships. We are missing the personal relationships a lot of times when we become evidence-based coaches, right? Now, I also want to say that you have to also take in a lot of the exercise science, but understand that exercise science and nutrition as well are so new in terms of being like science. When I say science, I mean doing experiments, running the scientific method
Research
on a
studies.
specific problem, right? So in the field of exercise science, it's been around maybe, 50, 60 years? Same with nutrition. It was done very poorly at the beginning. Still probably being done very poorly now.
Well, there are, I think, a lot of limitations on the types of studies that you can do. Because, if you really want to know about nutrition, you would have some people eating all McDonald's and some people eating all salads.
And we can't do that ethically.
Ethically, you cannot
exactly.
force people to do something that's going to be totally detrimental to their health.
So then you're forced into observational studies, which unfortunately have lower on the evidence hierarchy. So you can always poke holes in observational studies because it's harder to form causation from observational studies.
And you can't control
but that's the best we can do.
Right. You can't control how accurately people are self-reporting what they're eating. Like there's a lot of things that at that point become out of your control as the researcher. Nothing to be done. This is the best that we have. This is what we have to work with. And it is what it is.
A couple things to be careful of. If you run into a coach that says they know for sure on anything.
No, they don't.
Turn around and walk in the opposite direction. They don't. Because the science doesn't. Where we are in the evidence base doesn't. It just doesn't. And I don't think we ever will. We can say with relative certainty on a couple of things, volume of sets per week, intensity, creatine. When you start chopping things away that we are 90% sure of, we get to about 5 things in the exercise science realm that we can say with relative confidence work.
Right. Well, and then there's a bunch of, pieces of evidence that might all work for a certain thing. Or it's like, if, I don't know, you want to solve this problem, like your client says, okay, this is what I want to work on. There might be 5 different ways you could do that based on the evidence.
Yeah.
And the expertise of the coach is, well, let's try this one first.
Right.
Like, this is the one that I think is probably going to work the best for you. It's got decent evidence behind it. Let's try this.
Yeah.
And your expertise is also in evaluating the effectiveness of that.
Right.
And then it's like, yeah, it worked. Okay. But it's not really doing what I thought it would. Maybe this is what I would recommend for option number 2. This is what we can try now. And that's where the clinical or the, I guess, expert opinion or expertise comes in.
Quote unquote expert. That's, I think the problem with fitness specifically and fitness coaching is there's always FOMOG, fear of missing out on gains.
Oh.
I got that from the 3DMJ podcast.
Okay.
Those guys are cool. You should listen to that. Anyway, there's always that fear that if you run an N=1 experiment for 3 months doing a given protocol and it doesn't work, then you've lost 3 months where you could have been doing something else that may have worked. So there's always that fear.
But what else are you going to do in your own life? I mean, your entire life is an N=1 experiment.
Right. I'm with you. But that's hard to communicate to a client when you are in the results business, when you are marketing, hey, I'm going to make you stronger. I'm going to make you leaner. I'm going to help you lose weight. You throw everything that you think you know, because we all start from a schema of knowledge. When I am approached by a client, I'm going to go with my tool bag of this is what we need to do for, calorie deficit, tracking food. I love that type of stuff. If I'm working with somebody who's just coming off of an eating disorder and they're recovering from that, I may not push them to tracking food right off the jump.
Yeah.
But then what if that doesn't work? What if because we can't be as objective with food tracking, they're not really understanding that they're not in a calorie deficit? They feel like they are, but they aren't. Yeah. So we've missed 3 months and now this person's looking at me like, I haven't lost any weight. I'm leaving. Okay. That's the hard part about it. Our livelihoods are tied to the results of the client. So that's when you get into all of these crazy protocols that these coaches are giving people because they're so concerned that money's going to be taken out of their pocket. I'm right there with you, man. I get that. Yeah. That's hard.
I suppose the most important thing in that case would be setting realistic expectations with the client, right? And, you have that person come to you who has struggled with an eating disorder in the past and this, like, okay, for a lot of my clients, I recommend counting calories to make sure you're in a deficit. Based on your own personal history, that's not something I would recommend for you.
Right.
But that's going to make it a lot harder for us to be sure of whether your calorie count is. Yeah. And so you might not see the fastest results that are possible just because we don't want to put you at risk of, running back into your eating disorder. I think that would be a lot worse for you than a slower rate of weight loss.
Again, that comes back to understanding not just the evidence base, but also the person in front
how it applies to the person in front of you.
I really think
and communicating that to that person so that they understand what all the factors are. Right. And then maybe they say, you know what, I feel really confident in myself. I'm working with a mental health therapist. So I would like to give counting calories a try. Yeah. You know what?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you how to set it up.
Let's be really careful. I'm really going to be tracking you and make sure we're not going too far. I'm going to check in with you and make sure you're still seeing your therapist. Right. But let's try it for a month. And then you get that dialogue and we're really getting to what the person's priorities are.
This is the rub of it all is that in the first year, it's still data collection. You're still trying to figure out what makes this person tick, not just in the gym, but out of the gym. How do we work with stress? How do we work with sleep? When are busy seasons in your life? When are lighter seasons? So if you're looking for a coach, there are obvious red flags for you to get out of that relationship. But if you're not seeing any of those, stick with them. I really do think
the better your coach knows you, the better they're going to be able to help you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. So there's that. I know there's a huge battle right now. We are in the just train hard. But a couple years from now, we're going to swing right back to the evidence-based scientific lifting type.
It's like you should certainly be working hard in the gym. I don't think anybody's debating that.
It's
you got to bring your brain with you to the hard training.
The core problem that I always talk about is just use both. It does not. Both. This tribalism is so stupid. It's so stupid. It is literally counterintuitive.
It's very unproductive.
It absolutely is. But everybody's always like, "Are you a high volume guy or a high intensity guy?" Shut up, dude. I'm both. Like
I'm doing.
Who cares?
I'm doing what works for me.
I'm
doing what serves my goals right now.
Right now, I'm doing a program that's very, very high volume, and it's all. It's like, does that mean you stop doing high intensity? Are you
anti-high intensity?
Are you worried about your 1 rep max getting worse? No, idiot. I'm gonna do 6 months of freaking peaking. And then strength block where I'm working in the 3 to 5 rep range and working up to a heavy single. Yeah. Shut your mouth.
They can work
I'm going to do both.
They can work together. Yeah. Dude. It doesn't have to be one or the other forever.
But that's what sells. On Instagram is the sensational and the ridiculous. That is what sells. So you have to take a hard line stance.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm so glad that you talk about on your platforms that it doesn't have to be that way. And really it shouldn't be that way.
That's why we have this podcast.
Yeah.
Is so that I can see something stupid on Instagram and come on the podcast and say, hey folks, there's 10 different sides to this thing.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully one person sees this and says, oh, I didn't know that I could have it both ways. I didn't know I could use both ways intelligently at different times. Like that's really cool. And that's all you hope for.
All right. Well, even though it's 72 degrees in here, I have sweat through my shirt. So we're going to go ahead and say, this is the end of the podcast.
All right.
We will be back next week unless the air conditioning breaks again.
And hopefully
it won't.
It does not.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to join our Discord, I'm trying to, like I said, build a community. It's been a year of Black Bear Barbell online, and that's really special for me. I don't think I've done anything that I've loved for a year in my entire life. I've always, outside of school, I'm kind of just rolling the dice on stuff. But this is something that I think, you never know, but this is something that I think is going to be a long-term thing.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from you, and I think the Discord server is a great way to do that. It's kind of dead right now, I will say, but we're reviving it.
Come by and liven it up a little.
You can follow us both on Instagram. Sarah's going to get a little bit more active on Instagram.
To be determined.
If you're into fiber art, is that what you're calling it?
Yeah.
Then you can follow her on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram if you want to see that one Jack Black meme. Plus other stuff that I post. But that one seems to be really taking off. So.
I think everybody's already seen that. I think every person in the world has seen it.
And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yeah. We hit a little bit of a hiccup in terms of content because the air conditioning was broken, but more stuff is coming out. Yeah. So that's all the plugs that I have for you. We hope you have a great rest of your week.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to us ramble. We love you.
Yeah.
And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.